the quiet corners of a home, where laughter once echoed, a profound silence now reigned. For a woman named Clara, every tick of the clock was a painful reminder of a life she had lost. Her husband, her rock, her everything, was gone. The world, once vibrant and full of color, had faded into a monochrome gray. She had lost her joy, her hope, and felt utterly adrift in a sea of sorrow. The days bled into one another, each one a mirror of the last, filled with a loneliness so heavy it felt like a physical weight on her shoulders. She had lost everything, until someone small and furry came into her life, someone who needed her just as much as she needed them. This is the story of how a tiny, forgotten creature can mend the most broken of hearts. Clara's house, once a bustling hub of love and activity, had become a mausoleum of memories. His favorite armchair still sat by the window, the indent in the cushion a ghostly outline of his presence. His half-finished book lay on the nightstand, a bookmark frozen in time. She'd wander from room to room, a ghost in her own home, haunted by the echoes of a life that was no longer hers. The silence was the worst part. It wasn't just the absence of his voice, it was the absence of life itself. The air was still, heavy, and suffocating. Her friends called, their voices filled with pity and well-meaning advice. But their words were just noise that couldn't penetrate the thick fog of her grief. She'd politely declined their invitations, preferring the solitude that, while painful, felt like the only thing she deserved. One chilly afternoon, as she stared blankly out the kitchen window, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A small, scruffy cat, no bigger than a kitten, was huddled beneath the rose bushes, shivering. Its fur was a matted mix of ginger and white, and its green eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and defiance. At first, Clara dismissed it. It was just another stray, one of many that roamed the neighborhood. She had no energy for a pet, no space in her shattered heart for another living being. She turned away, retreating back into the shadows of her home. But the cat didn't leave. The next day, it was there again, a little closer to the back door this time. It watched her with an unnerving intensity, as if it could see right through the walls of the house and into the emptiness of her soul. She tried to shoo it away, making a half-hearted gesture with her hand, but the cat only blinked slowly before settling back down on its haunches. This became their silent routine. Every day, the cat would appear, a persistent, silent sentinel at the edge of her world. It never cried or demanded anything. It simply waited. Curiosity began to prick at the edges of Clara's apathy. Why was it still here? Why this house? One evening, as a cold rain began to fall, she saw the little creature trying to find shelter under the porch steps, looking utterly miserable and soaked. A pang of something she hadn't felt in months stirred within her. It was a flicker of empathy, a spark of concern. Before she could talk herself out of it, she opened the back door just a crack and placed a small saucer of milk on the step. The cat hesitated, then darted forward, lapping it up gratefully before retreating back into the shadows. That small act was a turning point. The next morning, the cat was sitting right on her doormat, as if waiting for her. When she opened the door, it didn't run. Instead, it looked up at her and let out a tiny, hopeful meow. Slowly, day by day, the invisible barrier between them began to dissolve. She started leaving out food regularly. The cat, in turn, grew bolder. It would rub against her legs as she filled its bowl, its bony body a fragile weight against her. Then came the purr, the first time she felt that deep, rumbling vibration against her shin. It was like a forgotten melody returning to her ears. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated contentment, a sound of life. She started spending more time outside, tending to her neglected garden while the cat, who she now called Leo, supervised from a sunny patch of grass. She found herself talking to him, her voice rusty from disuse. She told him about her husband, about their life together, about the gaping hole he had left behind. Leo would just listen, his green eyes fixed on her, occasionally chirping as if in response. He didn't offer empty platitudes or awkward silences. He was simply present. His companionship was uncomplicated, pure, and unconditional. One day, she was sitting on the porch steps, tears silently tracking down her cheeks as a wave of grief washed over her. Leo, sensing her distress, hopped onto her lap, curled into a tight ball, and started to purr. He nuzzled his head under her chin, his warmth seeping through her clothes and into her very being. In that moment, holding that small, trusting animal, Clara felt a profound shift. She wasn't just Clara, the widow. She was Clara, Leo's person. She was needed. This tiny creature depended on her for food, for warmth, for safety. In caring for Leo, Clara began to care for herself again. His need for a routine gave her a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Brushing his matted fur became a meditative act. Playing with a piece of string brought a genuine smile to her face, for the first time in what felt like an eternity. The silence in the house was no longer unbearable. It was filled with the soft padding of paws, the gentle purr of a sleeping cat, and the occasional jingle of a bell on his collar. Laughter, real and unforced, returned to her life when Leo would chase his own tail or get into some silly mischief. Her home, once a monument to loss, was slowly becoming a home again. The gray began to recede, and colors started to seep back into her world. The warmth of the sun on her face felt good again. The taste of her morning coffee was richer. The world hadn't changed, but her perception of it had. Leo hadn't replaced her husband, and he hadn't magically erased her pain. What he did was far more subtle and profound. He anchored her to the present. He showed her that her heart, though broken, was still capable of giving and receiving love. He reminded her that even after the most devastating storm, life, in its own quiet way, finds a way to continue. Sometimes, the greatest healing doesn't come from grand gestures or profound wisdom. It comes from the most unexpected of places, from a stray who refuses to leave, from a gentle purr in a silent house, from the simple, unwavering love of an animal who saw a person in need and decided to stay. Healing is a journey, not a destination. And sometimes, the best guide is a small, furry companion with wise green eyes. They teach us that our capacity to love never truly dies. It just waits for a reason to reawaken. Have you ever had an animal come into your life and change it for the better? A pet that helped you through a difficult time? We'd love to hear your story. Share it with us in the comments below. Your experience could be the spark of hope someone else needs to see today. Thank you for watching. And if this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more content that celebrates the incredible bond between humans and animals.